This race, Supreme Court races fly under the radar, and I think that is important. I think that's very unfortunate. So my name is Michael Skrenak, and I'm running for the Wisconsin Supreme Court because I care deeply about the state of Wisconsin, and I care deeply about the rule of law. I was born and raised here in Wisconsin. I went to school here. My wife's here with me. We raised our family. We have 3 adult sons. And I've really dedicated my professional career to serving the people of this state. I'm a judge right now, and I know firsthand the importance of a court upholding the rule of law, protecting public safety, and recognizing and respecting the Constitution and our separation of powers. Now, I also served as an attorney, and I do know the dangers of a court legislating from the bench. Before Governor Walker appointed me to the Circuit Court in 2015, I had the privilege of defending Act 10 as part of a small team of attorneys from our law firm and the Attorney General's office. And what the Act 10 saga showed us, really from start to finish, through all 6 cases that I worked on, is the risks of having a judge or justices who are willing to veto policy choices made by the legislature and governor that the court disagrees with. Judges are not legislators, and neither are we executives. The role of a judge is to interpret and apply the law as written, based not on the judge's personal or political beliefs, but based on the statutes and the Constitution. Simply put, the role of a judge is to be an arbiter of the law, not a policy analyst or a political activist. Now, unfortunately, neither of my opponents share these views. One of my opponents has called the notion of an impartial judiciary a fairy tale. My other opponent has ridiculed my commitment to the rule of law and called it garbage. And both of my opponents are actively campaigning on the political issues that they hold dear. And I find this practice deeply troubling. An independent judiciary that's comprised of justices with an unwavering commitment to upholding the rule of law, recognizing and respecting the separation of powers, and interpreting the Constitution as it was originally intended really is critical to maintaining and preserving our democracy and our republic. And I believe that citizens all across the state deserve the security and predictability that comes from having an independent, nonpartisan Supreme Court. And I'm not the only one that believes that. I'm privileged and honored to have the endorsement of a bipartisan majority of sheriffs all across the state, including Sheriff Schmidt. I appreciate his support. I've also gotten the endorsement of the Wisconsin Realtors Association and a number of groups that are involved in social issues, including the political action committees of Wisconsin Right to Life, Wisconsin Family Action Council, and the National Rifle Association. When you think of those groups, law enforcement, the business community, and social activist groups, one thing that they all have in common is that they understand that society only works when we have stability and predictability in the law, and we only have that when we have justices who are committed to interpreting and applying the law as they find it, and not from reinventing the law or changing the law on the fly just based on the whims and political preferences of the individual justices. So I believe that the court has been heading in the right direction for the last 10 years. I want to see it continue in that way. I want to see us continue to have a Supreme Court that simply follows the law. I do have a primary election less than a week away, February 20th, 6 days from today. Because it's a nonpartisan race, all 3 of us are on the ballot. The top 2 vote getters will go on to the general election. And it is critically important that everyone who cares deeply about our state and the future of our state does go out and vote. And I would be honored if you would vote for me. But I agree with the comments that were made earlier that if individuals that care deeply about having a court that follows the rule of law, if they stay home and assume that my success through the primary is a foregone conclusion, it may not happen. I think both of my opponents, based on the way that they're campaigning, are generating a lot of interest. They're generating a lot of interest from folks who want to see the court be an activist court and change the policy decisions that are set by our legislature and governor. And that's just not the role of the court. The court was never intended to be a policy-making body. It was never intended to be a veto for policy reasons. And the court should only step in if the legislature or the governor overstep their constitutional authority. If they don't, the court must remain hands-off. So I urge all of you to get out and vote February 20th. Again, my name is Michael Skrenak, and I would be honored if you would vote for me, and I thank you again for the time to speak to the crowd here today.